Should the Bitcoin Bulas of the world throw in the towel and capitulate and offer their Anguses to bear Jesus? Or is this the last opportunity that you would be expecting in a continuous bull market? That is question of the day as we do continue on with this thread of analysis that we've been having for the past couple weeks here and following up on yesterday's videos as well. Anyways, before we get into this one, I do want to let you know that you can still get 20% off of any one of the products or services in our Teachable store through the links in the description below with the code in all capitals, Midsummer100. That's Midsummer100, all capitals. And you can even get 1 month for free of the Krown Quant automation service, actually also in the VMP as well, but this does come with the VMP, so I'd suggest this one over that. And of course, the Krown Quant automation service, to just explain it really quickly, is it allows you to automate execution of your trades and provides you with strategy blueprints, which you can obviously use or iterate off of and make your own, or you can completely do your own thing with it as well. That's completely fine as well. Anyways, yes, that's in the description for you. Again, code is Midsummer100 in all capitals. All right, sweet. Let's get into this one. I want to start off with probably the most important chart of the day, and that is the Bitcoin production cost fundamental chart, which has been providing the basement price for Bitcoin based off of the lowest electricity price cost to produce a Bitcoin. I need to slow that down just to make sure I got the explanation right. Basically, it shows what is like the lowest price to produce a Bitcoin. And the reason why this one is important and why I want to bring it up again is that the bottom end of this channel, this red channel right here, has accurately predicted basically like the lowest closing prices for Bitcoin, even during some of the most, nasty events. For example, we have the FTX dump right here. And yes, it did close a little bit below for like a day. But ultimately this was, in hindsight, a phenomenal opportunity. Even during the Luna collapse right on over here and 3AC, still getting around that low. Same thing with the Rona dump way back on over here from March 2020 and the 2018 macro cycle lows and so on and so forth. You can basically just see that anytime Bitcoin has come anywhere near to the bottom end of that channel, it has been a good long-term do. Doesn't mean that it's always going to work out like that. Of course, we do see some closures below, but generally speaking, percentage basis, it's going to be very, very close to the low. So, I'll reiterate my sort of view on this channel, and this is a personal view, and this is just like this is just mine based off statistics, but it is my own conjecture as well, and it is this: as long as Bitcoin is closing higher term timeframes, especially above $60,000, or has not traded on a wick basis below the May lows, still probably an opportunity and still probably, in one massive long-term consolidation, and looking for significantly lower prices is unwise. At least that's the way that I operate, because I put trend first. And right now, the trend is your friend on the higher term timeframes for now, as long as you're above those May lows, or basically $60,000. And to be exact, it's not exactly $60,000. The basement price right here is $59,850. And that does change around from time to time, obviously. But for right now, it would still be on a higher low, to be fair. So I would respect that until proven otherwise, On top of that, to call back to another thing that we've been monitoring on this channel is something very, very simple here. The monthly red 5 exponential moving average, which generally has been a pretty damn good governor for Bitcoin in its bull markets and bear markets as well. Anytime Bitcoin is closing above it, all tests down to that moving average are typically very, very good long-term buys, especially as long as it has a positive slope. And anytime Bitcoin closes below it, that's typically the end of your market cycle. You might get your pumps here and there, but ultimately those pumps continue into lower highs, generally speaking, long-term. So going back into our current iteration, we can see that last month, May, did test below the 5, which is fine. Did close above the 5, which is important. And this month, we have seen another test below the 5, not going below the May lows. And as of right now, just one day after the dump, we do see that Bitcoin's back above it. So of course, this is a monthly time frame. It won't close until the end of this week in 5 days and 17 hours. But as of right now, and as long as Bitcoin is above that pivot, which is 60,350, I'm going to still treat it as if this is a healthy consolidation, right? Again, do not confuse this channel with perhaps other channels out there. If things switch around, we are going to switch around very fucking fast as well, because this, if this wants to come down, it can very easily come down to like mid to low 40s. But for right now, Bitcoin's still holding on by a thread, still holding on by a fucking thread. And it kind of reminds me of yesterday's video where, what was a phrase that I used? Sticking to your guns. It's actually like a perfect analogy right there. Maybe not a perfect one if you want to be bullish, but I learned later on from several messages that sticking to your guns, the saying comes from like a military saying where commanders would not suggest, but command their units to stick to your guns, like when the enemy is basically overwhelming them and they're about to get absolutely run over and wrecked and fucked. So there's that. And that might be what's going on here. But until we get those tangible breakdown signals, you know, I'm still going to be looking at this as probably an opportunity, you know, in the same way that it has been for the past year and a half now. It doesn't mean it's always going to work out like that. Of course, it's been very, very nice to us for the past year and a half, and it's made things easier. But at some point, it obviously will change around, as it always does, you know, back on over here. But until that happens, I'm gonna go with the former until proven otherwise. That's always my disposition. So now let's get into the short term. Bitcoin kind of primed for a bounce here. 5-day time frame did trade to the bottom end of the 61.8 level. You know, now bouncing pretty damn neatly, I guess, neatly if you want to call it that. Weekly time frame also coming to the bottom end of that channel as well. So, you know, likely to get a pity bounce here again, regardless of whether you're bullish or bearish. In this case, you know, the weekly is actually still holding the range, so I guess there's a little bit of hoping right there. But again, it's going to take its time. If you are bullish at this point, understand that there's not going to be anything like this, like where it just goes straight up. That's not happening anytime soon. If at all. I mean, technically speaking, the weekly does have the makings of a lower high and potentially a lower low in the board, you know, in the books there. But if it is going to be bullish, you know, what you're probably looking at is mostly sideways with a bounce in like July and probably carries out into August region. You know, it'd be boring as hell. Something like that would start to look really, really good long term. And I think that's kind of best case scenario as of right now. So if we have gotten to probably the next bounce here, again, just looking at all the different things, we got the Bitcoin production cost fundamental channel low or basement price right there. We got the 5 exponential on the monthly right here. We have the 38.2 level here on the weekly, or the 61.8 level on the 5-day. And we do see that the 2-day time frame for CME, as we called out, I think this was like a week or two ago now, does have this nice trendline regression here, which, you know, has been calling some of the last major lows for Bitcoin since basically, what is it, like August of 2023? Yeah, so this area over here that my cursor's on, plus this low, this like major low right here. And then again, the lows in April before a pretty significant rally. It's gonna be tested on this next period, which is actually not tonight, it's gonna be tomorrow night. So we'll have to see this one, I guess that would be Thursday morning. Yeah, Thursday morning, we'll see, you know, what happens. But if we start to see things turn around here as well, that'd be a really good indication that Bitcoin's going to put in like a strong bounce. In the meantime, does it go sideways, maybe even retest the current lows? Sure, maybe, fine. But we are starting to see stochastic momentum turn up, probably on the daily. It's been quite some time. Again, we haven't seen any sort of turn up from this region since basically January, actually, in the critical zone, which is going to be had today if Bitcoin does close basically anywhere above 60,300. Right now, trading about $500 above that number, which is not that much for Bitcoin, obviously. So, you know, could still give you some tests, and I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe another wick lower than 60,000 bucks. Just don't want to see closures below there. That's the very important thing here. Anyways, yes, we've got that. Now the question is bounce targets. Assuming that Bitcoin does kind of dig in and try for a bounce, maybe later this week, early next week. I'm a little bit more biased towards probably later this week, sooner rather than later, but maybe not today. And of course, for this, what I like to do is I like to put on a nice Fibonacci retracement. So I'm just going to be using the low of our current dump-ola versus the high of our current dump-ola as well. And you can see that the 382 level is coming in 63,650. So, you know, asking for a bounce somewhere around there is probably not asking for too much. Again, don't think that's happening today nor tomorrow, but maybe later this week get started, or early next week. And even if Bitcoin does pop back up to 63,650, that's not like out of the woods yet, like confirmation that Bitcoin has put in a macro or, you know, major low here and ready to work its way sideways and up. But it does keep the Boulos hopes alive, obviously. This ideally, if you're bearish, is where you'd be expecting that next major rejection, actually. If things do exceed there, looking somewhere around 65,300 at the 50% retracement. And then above there, you got basically your Thursday high from the 20th of June, which is like 66, basically 66,500 bucks. You see Bitcoin back above there. That's at the point where I'd say, hey, this low over here is confirmed as like a bullish low, and you should be looking for sideways and up from here. Until then, all of these regions in between, you know, you do kind of have to play the game of, are we on lower high watch right now? Because, well, we are. I mean, we are. You know, there is a weekly lower high in place. We do not have a weekly lower low in place, so it is not a reversal just yet, but it's a possibility now. So so need to, you know, need to entertain that that possibility as a real possibility. And that's where you're going to see me get like super bearish as well. If we see like an obvious rejection somewhere around these regions, I'd say, hey, look out below, because that's probably where it comes from. I don't think you're going to see things, even if you're super bearish, like die from here. Or if it does, I mean, that's it's too much, man. It's too much. It's too much. All right, cool. So I think we've gotten through just about everything on this video. Last thing I'll leave you with is just some Tuesday statistics. Again, another reason why I just don't think things are going to be seeing anything super crazy today is, well, actually, Tuesday is one of the most bearish days for Bitcoin. Let me go over here to spot price action. Yeah, it's going to be actually one of the most bearish for spot price action as well since 2024 began. The returns on Tuesday does have the highest negative returns as well at almost 3%, and on the positive side about 1.5%. So let's put that into perspective with numbers here, and let's see what that would look like. Let me just bring this down a little bit. Of course, Bitcoin were to close positively today, 1.5% to the upside. We've kind of already seen that move. You know, basically 61 to 61.5 region. To the downside, 3% to the downside, basically retests yesterday's wick low, which I do think is certainly possible here. I think that we're generally going to see somewhere inside that range for today. You know, not really super above 61 or 61.5, and not super below yesterday's wick low. So probably scalps on both sides of the range. I will address that yesterday. Obviously, the bottom side of that range did not work out in terms of average percentage loss for the first time since basically the 21st of May. Jesus, man. So yeah, that's also kind of indicative of things perhaps changing here. So, you know, I don't want to be giving you rainbows and sunshine when there shouldn't be rainbows in sunshine, but sticking to the guns. I'm sticking to the guns. Anyways, yeah, I think that's probably a good place for me to be leaving off. Again, there's a couple more days left to sign up to the Krown course, or the trading school course, which is in the link in the description below as well. It's a free course. It is going to require an exchange account, but that's all you. And what else can I say about it? Yeah, 2 more days, 7 hours to sign up. After that, it's done. It's over. It's kaputs. And this is the first cohort. We don't know, you know, what's going to happen after this. So if you're interested in it, like I said, it's free. You know, not really doesn't really require too much from your own behalf. So it might be worth looking into. And it officially starts in 2 days and 7 hours. We'll be having our first welcome event, is what we call it, on Thursday, basically at, I believe, like kind of midday here for us in the European time zone. And we'll be doing a live stream during that time, like, you know, probably, well, no, not probably, every week for the remainder of that program. So if you're interested, check it out. I'm gonna be signing off on that note again. Wait, where's my damn chart? There it is. Bitcoin on the bottom of this channel for the first time in a very long time. So I'll leave things like that. I think you can probably figure out what I'm doing on my own behalf. Actually, I should probably just explain what am I doing here. Same thing as yesterday. Sticking to my guns. You know, between 61.5 to basically 60,000 bucks. I'm looking for long-term positions. Does that mean it's going to 100% work out? No, it has been working out, but you know, for the last 1.5 years, and at some point it will fail. But what I like about this, as with any setup, really, is that the point of invalidation is very, very close to the entry, as basically, again, below your May lows, yeah, it's wrecked. Take the loss, or at least that's what I'll be doing, taking losses. Until then, you know, have to give a little bit of room to breathe and recollect after that. So I think that's a good place for me to be leaving off. As always, I want to wish you the best. Sale goes on until beginning of next week. Code is midsummer100. And with that said, take care, much love, and see you hopefully next time.